Welcome back, everyone, to the A.D.D. show, where we're not always right, but we're never wrong. As always, I'm Mark.
And I'm Hans, and on today's episode, it'll be just me and Mark here to talk Week 9 in the NFL. In other sports news, this weekend is the NASCAR Championship at Arizona. In Arizona at ISM Raceway. Fan favorite Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Joey Logano make up the final four drivers, hoping to hold up the Bill France Cup Sunday evening. In college football, we have number 17 Miami at NC State, number 9 BYU at 21 Boise State, West Virginia at number 22 Texas, number 23 Michigan at 13 Indiana, number 18 SMU at Temple, Arizona State at number 20 USC, number 25 Liberty at Virginia Tech, number 8 Florida at number 5 Georgia, and the big night game is number 1 Clemson without Trevor Lawrence again against number 4 Notre Dame. In tonight's Thursday night football game, we have Green Bay heading into the Bay Area to take on the 49ers. With that, Mark, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. Pac-10.
Yeah.
Pac-10 starting.
Finally, they've been ranked for weeks, and they haven't played a game, which I don't think is fair.
And they're all going to have the same amount of games Wisconsin plays by the end of this weekend. So, go Cheeseheads.
Yeah, I tell you, me being a big college football fan, I just don't understand how, a team like mine, right, with a big win, couple good wins, why we still can't get in the top 25, but Oregon's still, 4th, and they haven't played a game yet.
Yeah. And Wisconsin's played one game and they're 10th. It's
I think all the Big 10 and Pac-12 schools should have been dropped out of the 25 for the teams that have been playing.
Until they start playing.
And then they play, and then they get to work their way back in. Because I just think it's ridiculous that there's still teams with no games yet, still ranked 8th.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
So, but today, before we start, I want to give a shout-out to our boy Nate. Nate's tying the knot this weekend. He's tying the knot tomorrow to a beautiful young lady named Haley. She's got to be a good girl because she's putting up with Nate. So I'm really proud of Nate. He's come a long way. I've known Nate for quite a while now. I think of him as a little brother. He's come a long way. I'm so proud of Nate. But I do have to say, Mr. and Mrs. Bender have to be some very patient people because they're letting a Washington football fan marry into Eagles fans.
I know.
So, I just want to say congratulations to Nate and Haley. Mr. and Mrs. Bender, your daughter's going to be in good hands. I've known Nate for a while, and he's a really good guy. He's going to take good care of her. Yep. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Nate. Yeah. I know he wanted to be on tonight, but he couldn't miss the rehearsal dinner. So
I get it.
He's like, I'm going to try. And I was like, okay. And then, he couldn't get out of it.
It happens. Like I said, shout out Nate. I haven't known him quite as long as Mark has, but I'm glad to be introduced to him. Nate's awesome. Congratulations. I believe I've only met his soon-to-be wife once, but they seem like great people. So congratulations, guys. Can't wait to get him back on the show.
Yep. So that being said, let's get right into it. We got Packers 49ers.
Okay.
Packers lost a shocking game last weekend. Their run defense is bad, I guess. I mean, that's how the Buccaneers beat them. That's how the Vikings beat them. Dalvin Cook was a monster. We'll get more into him when we talk about the Vikings later. But 49ers are just too hurt. This is just, it's gotten to the point where I think the 49ers really have to do what they did when the year Garoppolo got hurt, where they only won 3 games and they got the top 2 pick and they got Bosa. I mean, you almost have to lose out. Who cares? Your whole team is hurt. You don't have Kittle for the rest of the year. You're not going to have Garoppolo for most of the rest of the year, if at all again.
He'll probably come back if they make the playoffs. But.
Yes, and in my opinion, you're stacked. This is still a good team that is injury riddled. Now they got COVID going on, so a couple of their top players aren't even playing. Packers are still a really good team. The problem I have with the Packers is offensively, they're more well-rounded when Devontae Adams doesn't play.
It's weird.
Now Devontae Adams is a beast, and he could average 200 yards a game, but it's like he doesn't spread the ball around, and he really locks in on them, and he's not open every play. Now, Aaron Jones, I believe, is back tonight. If he is, that makes a huge difference because he's a stud, but I don't think it makes a difference because I think the Packers win this game. I almost think they win it easily, but I have the Packers winning this game.
Yeah, I have the Packers too. It's a trust thing here. I know I use the word trust a lot. If San Francisco wasn't so beat up, they'd be so good right now. That defense is mad scary. It reminds me of the Ravens defense in ways. Steelers
without
defense.
Their best player.
And they're without their best player, right? And they got them all injured, like it seemed like in the same week. Now you're without probably arguably the top tight end in the league. You can argue Kelsey, right? They're both 1 and 2, and everyone else is 5 and on. And then you're losing your quarterback, which again, I'm not a big Garoppolo fan, but he is your QB1. He's your smartest guy for a reason, and that's not going to help you, especially playing a team that may not have as good of a defense. Even San Francisco's defense might be better than Green Bay's in some ways. But Aaron Rodgers is just better than your whole offense, and he's going to find a way to get it done. He's a veteran, and I think they're going to win, and I agree with you. I think it'll be 10, 17-point difference. I don't see San Francisco doing very well. That's just me.
Next game is the Falcons versus the Broncos. Both teams had big wins last week.
Yes.
Broncos, man, they looked like a high school team in the first 3 quarters of that game. And then all of a sudden, Drew Lock said, "Oh, yeah, I'm playing in the NFL. I need to start acting like an NFL quarterback." And the Chargers acted like they didn't know what was going on.
Well, what happened is you can't score field goals as fast as Denver scoring touchdowns.
Right.
So every time the Chargers got on the ball, they marched down the field, they threw too fast. That's what Herbert does. They kicked a field goal. Sweet, we're up by 3. Denver, 7. Up by 3. Denver, 7. And then you're losing by 1 point.
Yep. And we're going to talk about, I believe, the Chargers later. I got some interesting takes on that. Nothing bad about Herbert or anything. It's just the play style that team does. I like the Broncos, sort of. But I really like the Falcons this week. I don't think the Falcons are as bad as what their record says they are. I think they are starting to just play football. I know that's weird to say. They're in the NFL, but
they're not worried about the record. They're not worried about the time.
Exactly. They're just playing now. Now everybody's playing for what you like to say, a contract or to stay in the NFL. And so they're playing a little bit looser than they have been in the past. I just think they're more talented than the Broncos. I love Noah Fant. I love Lindsey. I love Gordon. I think that's a good core for the offense. I don't like Locke. I really don't. I'm
down on him this year. I was high at first. I thought he was going to do better, but he just hasn't.
I have the Falcons winning a close game, which is surprising because the Falcons don't do that, but I have the Falcons winning a close game.
I got the Falcons too. I just think the offense is better for Atlanta than Denver. Denver's defense is good, so I could see this being a lower scoring game than people would think. I could see this being a big Todd Gurley game. I could see this being a lot of run game. I know it's at Atlanta, right? But Denver's done well against the pass. I understand. I still, Herbert still had 350 yards passing, but it's also different. That doesn't always mean that you're bad against the pass, right? Just because you allowed a lot of points in one game. Denver does have a decent defense. I know they got a couple key players injured, but this is a trust thing. Atlanta, I don't think, is really 2-6. I think that offense is a 10-win offense. Their defense is letting them down, and bad coaching at the time. So, and they had a really hard schedule to start the season too. So, I could see Atlanta winning 4 or 5 games this year, but I could definitely see them winning this one. I don't think Denver is a very good team.
I will say this though. I would say that going through the teams, looking at everything, I would say right now the Falcons are my most disappointing team. Based off of what I thought they were going to do, based off of where they are, I think the Falcons are the most disappointing team to me this season.
No. Houston.
Okay.
I understand they lost Hopkins.
You could easily make a case for
Houston to me is very disappointing this year.
Okay.
And their best player is their quarterback, but wide receiver play has been bad. Don't get me wrong, I like the signing of the running back, but with the trade there, he's not getting 100-yard games. He's just He's just there.
Yeah.
It's nothing special. So those two teams definitely are huge disappointments this year for teams you thought were going to do better. I mean, no offense, like Dallas and whatnot, but these two teams are the ones, two I could think of.
So right there, I just forgot Dallas too. So
Eagles, a lot of teams.
Yeah. The next game I have is the Seahawks versus the Bills. What's going on with the Bills?
Dude.
What is going on with the Buffalo Bills?
They're broken.
Offensively, they do not look good at all. They beat the Jets by all field goals. You can't even score a touchdown against the Jets. Okay, that's just red flag number one. And then a beat up quitting Patriots team is one fumble away. They're driving, dominating that drive, and Cam Newton decides to hold the ball like a loaf of bread and fumbles it. And that game would have gone to overtime if that fumble didn't happen. Seahawks offensively are just really good. Defensively, they're suspect. If this was week 3 of the season, I would have picked the Bills to win this game. But this is week 9 right now, and I've seen 3 weeks in a row where Buffalo just is not good. So I've got the Seahawks winning this game. I know it's in Buffalo, and it makes a difference because this time of year, Buffalo, it could snow, it's cold. I don't believe in the coming East Coast, West Coast. I don't.
Seattle, it can be cold in Seattle too, though.
Yeah.
Seattle's a wet cold. It's a little different.
But I got the Seahawks winning this game. Not an easy win. I think it's going to be a punch them out, drag out fight, but I got the Seahawks.
Yeah, this is the one game where I went back and forth on, and I've been big on Seattle all year, been about their defense, but I'm going to pull a little bit of shout out to our boy Nate here. We could call him, Nate Schefter and whatnot. I did some research on this game today because I was bored at work, and the problem with Seattle is they allow the 3rd most points to wide receivers all year, especially the outside wide receivers.
Okay.
So what I was reading is that on average, they average about 100 to 200 yards, so about 125 yards per corner per wide receiver. So if you're looking at that, you're looking at 125 yards on average for Diggs, 125 yards for Brown, and they average about 80 yards to the slot. So you're looking at 80-yard game out of Cole Beasley. If the Bills do what they're supposed to do, they could pass all over Seattle. Mm-hmm. Only problem is Seattle can pass against you.
Yes.
Right? So I think this is going to be a battle of the offenses. I think the Bills look better this week. I think they're going to look a little better. I think they're going to hopefully figure it out. This is the one game I almost picked the Bills for. Okay. I just trust a little bit more Seattle. I know they're going to the Bills, but Bills look bad the past couple weeks. Seattle hasn't. I trust Seattle right now.
Okay.
Bills could come out and punch Seattle in the mouth, and I wouldn't be surprised. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
All right. I got Seattle by, I'll say touchdown.
Okay. All right. Next game is a very interesting game. Bears-Titans. Bears play ugly football. Bears don't hide the fact that they play ugly football. They're in every game. They're going to come back. They're going to give it a shot. They're going to almost win every game. It's just the way they play. And they're going to make mistakes in the middle. They're going to drive you absolutely bananas watching them. I watched them against the Bucks. Not the Bucks. I can't remember who they played last week. But they were dominating the game. And then they let the team back in. And they had to fight their way back. New Orleans. They played New Orleans. And they had to fight their way back. But they were dominating the game. And then all of a sudden, their offense just forgot how to play. And it was just mind-numbing to watch. The Titans lost to the Bengals, okay? And it wasn't just like, oh, Bengals got lucky. The Bengals dominated from start to finish in that game. And the Bengals did something that they don't ever do this season.
Win?
Well, yes, win, but they were up 27-14.
And they didn't blow the lead.
Right, and the Titans scored a touchdown to make it 27-21. And I threw my hands up and I said, the game's over. Bengals lose. And then what happened? They kicked it off. The Bengals ran it back 46 yards, got into good field position, methodically went down the rest of the field and scored a touchdown.
And I was just a lot of time too.
Right, and I was just like, holy cow. I'm like, this is what I've wanted to see all year. But the Titans, they're not good defensively. They're pretty good offensively, but they didn't do enough to me against a bad defense in the red zone. They moved the ball, in the 20s. But they didn't do enough to me against a bad defense to think that they can go up against the Bears, who's an excellent defense, and win this game. So I've got the Bears winning an ugly game, a very ugly game.
I think it's an ugly game too.
Oh, it's my upset, by the way, of the week.
Okay.
So I've got the Bears upsetting the Titans
because Tennessee's favored.
Yes.
Gotcha. So I have Tennessee winning this game. That was a bad loss last week to the Bengals, and it's no disrespect to the Bengals. They shouldn't have lost that game. Bengals outplayed them all day, every day.
I mean, everybody was saying they're a top 5 team in the league, and you lose to a bottom 5 team in the league. You just don't do that.
You just don't do that, yeah. So I'm a little bit off on Indianapolis right now. I still think probably right now they're a top 10 team in the league. That defense is getting worse every week. Offensively, I look at it like this. I don't know how Tennessee couldn't do anything against that terrible Bengals defense. Mm-hmm. They showed up and they didn't play well, but they played just enough to piss off Tennessee. It was weird. Like, I watched half that game, the second half, and I was like, Tennessee, what are you doing? Like, This isn't a bad defense, but it's almost like it almost seems like they weren't prepared. It's almost like they analyzed their opponent, saying, it's the Bengals. And then the Bengals came in and punched you in the mouth. Yep. So This is one of those situations where I have Tennessee winning. I'm giving you guys one more week because if Chicago goes 6-3, they're real. Yep. They're the real deal. And people are like, well, why don't you think Chicago's real? I'm just not there yet. They're just an ugly, winning, good team. They're just they remind me of the Panthers, but with more wins. That's what they remind me of. Yep. And I just need to see a little more. I'm going to go with Tennessee this week, but Tennessee, you're on a short leash. Yep. So I got Tennessee winning.
Yeah, the next game we're going to talk about, that division's up for grabs now. The Titans had a big lead in that division, and now it's close. Like, they're tied for first. So, in the next game we're going to talk about is the Ravens versus the Colts. I'm not surprised the Ravens lost last week.
I'm not either.
You know, I know we both picked Pittsburgh, and Lamar Jackson is not playing well at all.
No.
He's not playing well at all. His wide receivers are now, his star wide receiver is now calling him out. You don't have an identity on offense. You lost your best cornerback this week. He's not playing.
They did run a little better, though, but still.
It's still
broken.
You know, that defense, losing that offensive lineman, Staley's going to hurt also.
That's a big deal.
That's a big loss, especially against a Colts team that doesn't have to blitz to get to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I see this game. I mean, you can chalk this up. I don't know how many times I've picked them this year, but it hasn't been many. I've got the Colts winning this game, and I didn't even hesitate. Like, I know I don't like the Ravens, but I'll give them credit for when they're good. They're not good right now. They have no identity, and we've been saying that for weeks. They have no identity. And I got the Colts winning this game. I think that, you know, they're going to do enough to beat this team.
I'm going to give a shout out to somebody. I do believe he listens to the show. It's somebody I work with. His name's Bray Russell. You know Bray. Yep. And he's a big Baltimore Ravens fan, and he's the first one to come to me. He's not like how me, Nate, Logan, how we do with our teams where someone's like, yo, Dak's bad, and I'm ready to fight. He was the first one to come to me. He goes, dude, what the bleep is up with Lamar Jackson? And I said, I've been telling you since last season. Mm-hmm. He reminds me of James Harden. It's just, he beats, if you look at his record overall, I get he's got a lot of wins. He doesn't play well against good teams.
No, he doesn't.
He plays against teams with, this is the difference. He plays well against teams with bad defenses, even if they're 8-0. Like, he would probably do well against Seattle. Because their defense is bad. But when he plays a top 10, top 15 defense, he crumbles. He crumbles literally like a boxer in the ropes. He's done. And I think he's still a talented quarterback. I respect the hell out of him. I do. But I just think something's broken. I don't think he's a good quarterback. Let me rephrase that. I don't think he's a great quarterback, and he needs to be great with the way that team is playing. Yeah. His defense is bailing him out more than you'd imagine. He is not the reason they're winning games like he was their rookie year. Yes. And the only reason his rookie year he was winning games because nobody in the league knew how to stop him. He's getting sacked more than ever. His QBR is the worst. He was, I know this is fantasy related, the number 1 or 2 on average drafted quarterback in fantasy. I just told you this before we started. Yep. He's had, 8 weeks this year? 8 weeks. 6 of them he's been 15th best quarterback or under.
Yeah.
He's had 2 weeks where he was the 15th quarterback or better. Every single week added together, Burrow and Herbert have been better quarterbacks than him.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yes.
When you're getting outplayed by rookies, it's a problem. So, again, I want to go real quick. This is my upset of the week. I announced this is my upset of the week. I have Indianapolis winning it. Their defense is going to get to Lamar, and I just think Indianapolis is going to do enough. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think Lamar is going to look like doo-doo.
Yep. On that, like, I listen to a lot of 105.7 The Fan.
The local,
I listen to them all the time, and I heard a stat, and it shocked me. And I don't have all quarterback stats against the zone and against man-to-man. I don't have them in front of me. Didn't look it up, but they said that Lamar is worse against the zone than he is against man-to-man. That surprised me because all you have to do in a zone is sit in a pocket, and if you can read the field, you will pick apart.
That tells me he can't read defenses.
Exactly. And that means he panics. And that means he just throws it to where he thinks his player's supposed to be. And a zone will eat you up. Mm-hmm. Colts play zone 80% of the time. Mm-hmm. Okay? And they don't blitz. And they get to the quarterback with their 4. And they don't blitz. And they're not going to have to blitz.
Yeah, the thing with Indianapolis is they play a lot of zone and they don't blitz. Like you just said. They only blitz. It's kind of like playing football with your buddies back in the day. You're like, hey, you got to count to 5 before you can blitz. So Indianapolis kind of does that. They don't blitz at first. It's like 1, 2, you didn't throw it, they're blitzing. After that, so it's like Lamar doesn't have a chance to run because as soon as you run, you're getting hit. This defense is incredible for Indianapolis. The big thing, though, I want to let's say real quick, these are 2 of the best defense in the league right now. These 2 teams playing each other. So it could be a slugfest. There's a chance that Baltimore still wins this game, but not because their offense played well. It's because they shut down Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
And people are going to be like, well, the Ravens got it. I could see Lamar having 2 fumbles and an interception or 2.
Yeah.
I could see him playing complete like doo-doo and having Phillip Rivers having 400 yards and 3 TDs and still lose.
He lost 2 fumbles, fumbled 3 times, lost 2, and he threw 2 interceptions. 1 for a pick 6.
And I think they were all in before the third quarter. That's atrocious.
So it was bad.
And people will give him credit. And I'm not trying to bring this up because my dude ain't playing. If Dak did that, he would literally be grilled at the stake.
Nobody's talking about Lamar. I'm going to say it. It's the Madden curse.
Yeah.
It's real.
I believe it's real.
Okay, so it's real. Panthers versus Chiefs is the next game. Chiefs are too talented.
Yeah,
I got the Chiefs. McCaffrey's back. So McCaffrey's going to play.
Thank you for my fantasy team.
And I think that's going to be big for the Panthers. But I still think the Chiefs are too talented. They'll score too fast. The Panthers can't score enough. I got the Chiefs winning this game.
Yeah, I have the Chiefs winning too. Now I want to do something a little different since we don't have a third guest. So we can talk a little bit more about these games. All season I went back and listened to all these episodes the past few weeks. And when we record, I always listen to the next one the next day. I like to listen to us again. We don't really talk about Kansas City. We always say they're going to win and we move on.
It's the same as the Jets.
So I want to talk a little bit about Kansas City, okay?
All right.
Are we in agreement that Patrick Mahomes is a dude? He's a baller, right?
He's the best quarterback in football.
He's the best quarterback in football, okay. Not the most successful, but the best quarterback, right?
Well, no, he's the best quarterback in football right now. He hasn't played long enough to be the most successful ever. But
that's what I'm saying. He's the best quarterback.
And I don't think it's close.
Remember when people were playing 5 years ago? You want to be Brady. You want to be Mahomes now.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Brady. Brady led the way for people like Mahomes. But I wanted to say a little about Kansas City. They're incredible. They're a really good team. I know they played the Jets. They struggled a couple weeks ago when they had that loss against the Raiders. You're going to have that. I don't see anybody going 16-0 this year. But we don't talk about him much, but Kansas City's deadly. They now have Le'Veon. I know he's not getting much, but 7 catches is great. They just have a lot of weapons, and defensively, they're a good team. I don't see Carolina having enough. I just say Patrick Mahomes is a great guy. This team's really good. We don't talk about him much. They have a Hall of Fame coach. Good job to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to win this game.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention about the Chiefs is if you're a wide receiver on the field, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
You got to pay attention. You can't take what they call, you can't take a play off. You can't stop because he is going to throw it to whoever he wants to throw it to.
And you never know when you're like, play's dead, and then a 90-yard bomb's coming because he got out of it.
I'm going to ask this question, and I'll give you time to think about it if you want to, or if somebody comes to your mind. I know there's a couple in there. Who's the second best quarterback in football?
The second best quarterback in football right now, this season, or just overall in general?
This season.
Tom Brady.
Brady, Wilson,
Wilson, yeah, I'd put Wilson in there. Brady looks really good right now, though. I didn't expect him to play this good. I expected Russell to ball out. So if I had to pick my top, I'm going to say top 4. I'm going to put Rodgers in there too. But Rodgers, Brady, Russell, and probably Mahomes. That's my top 4 right now. But if I had to put the one behind him, I'm taking Brady over the other 3.
Okay, so we've talked a lot this season and about young players.
Yeah,
how the league is changing over. Okay, 5 years and under. Who's the next best quarterback?
5 years into the league and under.
Yep. Right? Nobody pops into your head.
I'm trying not to be a homer.
You're going to say Dak.
Dak could be one of them.
Okay. There's stats-wise, there's no argument there.
No. Winning-wise, no. He hasn't really done anything special, but Dak maybe. Let me go down the list here. I would say possibly Dak. Watson. Are we talking like 1 year? Because I could be like Burrow and Herbert.
5. Right? That's what I'm saying. Burrow and Herbert right now probably.
Kyler Murray, but he's kind of right now. He's not doing as good. But I would say you only got about 4 quarterbacks. Because Buffalo.
Beginning of the season, first 5 weeks of the season, you would have said he was in the MVP race.
Yes, Lamar.
But the next 4,
our hands are up. Lamar.
Yeah.
Garoppolo.
No.
So it's who is it? And you only got 3 or 4 people. It's not Daniel Jones.
Nope.
Maybe Derek Carr, but he's over 5 years. He's over 6 or 7 now. I would say you pretty much just have Dak, Watson. You could put Wentz in there because when his team's healthy, he does play pretty good.
Yeah.
He does. No disrespect to Wentz. His team's beat up.
But again, you're having these like,
You're
I'm going to put him
about
there because I don't want to put a rookie there.
Yeah.
So because there's more tape on those guys.
If we talk about all the quarterbacks we just seen, honestly, the ceiling for me is higher on Burrow and Herbert than all the ones I just named. And maybe even Tua.
Kyler,
yeah.
And Dak.
Yeah.
And no offense to Dak.
Yeah.
No offense to Kyler Murray. They're both very good quarterbacks. Right now, I'd rather have both Herbert or Burrow over them.
I'm not going to lie. I would too. They're both playing like they know what they're doing.
Yes.
They both do. And obviously for me, this is one thing I wanted to talk about. For me, I've actually kind of been thinking about this all week, how much different they both are. So this week, I did something. Me and Mark had a little argument about the Bengals. We got into it. I apologized to him on live air. Didn't mean to get all angry with him. But I thought about something, and that they're two totally different quarterbacks. And I do believe Burrow's probably going to have more success. But if I had to break it down, what I saw Burrow doing, and it could be because his line's bad, he reminds me of a young Tom Brady. He reads the field well. I don't think he's necessarily the strongest arm quarterback in the class, but he's not going to make stupid mistakes. He's making a couple here and there. He's young. Herbert reminds me more of like a running version of a Drew Brees. Or Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't think Herbert's the best quarterback short game, but like his arm is great. His skills are great. He reads the field great, but like he's not a winner as much as I see Burrow winning. And that's what I was trying to say in those messages. But when our group is texting, it's hard to just text.
Yeah.
They're both just two different quarterbacks, and I could see them being the future of this league.
Yeah, we're going to get more.
Yeah, we will.
I'm going to talk more into Herbert once we get to their game. I do have some interesting takes that I talked to a couple of people about this week at work, and it's just interesting ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we got next?
Next is Vikings-Lions.
Is this the only other game we disagree on?
Yeah, Dalvin Cook is a stud.
Oh my gosh.
Dalvin Cook is a stud. I had this argument with somebody at work today, and I said Dalvin Cook is the second best running back in football today. If everybody is healthy, Dalvin Cook is the second best running back in football. Okay?
I could see it.
Christian McCaffrey is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Dalvin Cook, the Vikings are a run-first team, and then they pass. Everybody knows they're a run-first team, and then they pass. They load that box up, and they can't stop him. He is rushing all over people this year. He had one game that he missed because he was hurt, but he dominated. He dominated the Packers. He dominated them. It wasn't anything other than Dalvin Cook running the ball, Dalvin Cook catching the ball, and the Vikings scoring 4 touchdowns before the Packers could score 4 touchdowns. And I've got the Vikings winning this week because I am off the Lions train. I fell off. They've broken my heart too many times this year. I think the Vikings figured it out. I don't think the Lions can stop them, stop the run game. I've got the Vikings winning this game.
So I'm going to stick to my gut here because looking at our board over here, I got a couple wins ahead of you. Yep. You did not convince me to change this pick. I just remember that Matthew Stafford might not play this weekend. That's a big deal. He is on the the COVID reserve list. If he tests negative for the next 4 days, his last test is done Sunday morning.
Yep.
So if he plays, I have Detroit winning this game. I think he could tear apart that Minnesota defense. Detroit's defense a little better. I don't think they're stopping Dalvin Cook, but I could see this being enough for Detroit finding a way to win. They've impressed me. They're starting to figure out their run game, which is good. But if he doesn't play, I'm not going to change my pick. If Stafford doesn't play, Minnesota's going to win this game. Okay. They're going to own the time of possession. But just something to keep an eye on. But I got Detroit winning this game. This is the only other game, heads up for everybody listening, that we're going to disagree on. Please don't log off. We're going to keep talking. But we didn't disagree much this week. This is a pretty easy week. So what we got next?
We got... next two games are bad games.
Yeah, who cares?
Giants versus Washington. Giants showed something, I guess, against a Buccaneers team that didn't really care that they were there. The Buccaneers won because they're a better team. They didn't come all guns blazing. Godwin was hurt. I think Miller got hurt in the game. And the Buccaneers still found a way to win. Washington is a better team than the Giants.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Washington will start making a tiny run here and battle the Eagles for the division. I could see Washington running off to get 6 wins and win the division. I got Washington winning this game, and I think it's going to be like when they played Dallas. I don't think it's going to be close. I think they're going to pretty much dominate.
Yeah, I have Washington winning this game too. I don't trust the Giants. Personally, for me, I've said it all year. I've been kind of nice about it, that he's been, subpar. Daniel Jones is atrocious.
Yeah.
He's not a good quarterback. To me, he's probably one of the worst 5 quarterbacks in the entire league. And it's not close. I believe it was Nate. We call him Nate Schefter for a reason, by the way. Congratulations on the marriage this weekend. He said it perfectly. He said they retired Eli Manning and drafted Eli Manning.
A worse version
of Eli Manning. Like, I didn't realize that till he said it, and I've been thinking about it for a few days, and I'll keep looking up. I was like, holy crap, this man has 29 touchdowns in his career. He has almost 50-something turnovers. That is mind-blowing.
Yep.
But for some reason, the Giants will keep giving him chances.
So think about this. He was drafted 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Haskins was drafted 7th. This is their 2nd year in the league, or is this their 3rd year? This is their 2nd year in the league, isn't it?
I want to say this is their 3rd. Not Haskins.
No.
They weren't in the same draft.
Yeah, they were.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. They were drafted back-to-back.
All right, we'll keep talking. I'm going to look it up on my phone.
What my point is in the last 2 or 3 years, they drafted their franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams need to draft a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams need to find a quarterback again. And Kyle Allen's not the answer. I'm sorry. He's a great story, but Smith isn't the answer either. Washington's going to need a quarterback. Giants need a quarterback, and they need it this year.
Yeah.
To complete the rebuild, you have to. But think about that. The Giants are going to have a top 5 pick technically this year, and they're going to have to waste it again on a quarterback.
Yeah.
That puts you so far behind in the rebuild.
And this is the thing, too, where we were talking about this before, is like there's a potential Dallas could possibly take a quarterback, and they're projected to pick 4th before the Giants. So that means they have the Giants winning another game before we do. But, like, if you look at it like this, and it's not a disrespect to the Giants, personally, for me, I think overall, barring injury, Dallas still is a better team with or without their quarterback. Like, the Giants need more than a quarterback, and it's almost like you might as well keep Daniel Jones and not get a quarterback yet. If you're not getting Lawrence, you're not getting Fields, you're not getting – I mean, I like Kyle Trask, but are any of those good enough for the talent you have? I just don't.
No,
I just
and
don't
I mean
think
they are
is.
talented offensively.
I
not
think they
on
are
the
too.
line, not on the line,
No.
but their skill positions are talented.
They are, but they could still use 1 or 2 more better wide receivers than what they have. They're okay.
Yes,
but they have Saquon and Ingram. They have one of the best running backs, top 5, and they have a top 5 tight end when he gets touches.
Can you even say Saquon's a top 5 running back?
No,
he hasn't even played enough to be.
He's played I think he's played 16 full games in his career, and he's been available for almost 30-something.
Yeah.
So people are like, man, Saquon this, Saquon that. And we had this Saquon-Zeke argument. Zeke never missed a game except for 6 for suspended for no reason at all.
Right.
And, like, no offense, I get he's playing bad, but Saquon, I don't have him as a top 8 running back right now.
Pretty soon you got to just say he's hurt too much to even have him in there. But
it's sad to say that.
Still,
when he plays,
talented.
When he plays, he's absolutely talented.
Yep.
So, wait, I didn't say who I was picking. I have Washington winning that game.
Yes.
Okay. Just it sounded like I did.
I didn't know if you pulled up that information.
I did. I want to tell you they were both drafted last year. They were both rookies last year.
Okay.
So,
right.
And they both did play last year. Haskins
Yes.
played 7. I think Daniel Jones played 13 games.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
The next game is the Texans and the Jaguars.
Oof.
I think they're both 1-win teams.
They are. I always write down the records. They're both 1-win teams.
Both 1-win teams. Texans are going to beat them. Deshaun Watson is going to play well enough. They're coming off a bye. Jaguars are coming off a bye, but I don't know if Minshew's playing.
He's not. They're playing Jake Luton from Oregon State, I believe, or Washington State.
So
one of those Apple schools.
And I really feel like, according to their head coach, they've really lost faith in Minshew, which I don't think he's been playing horrible, but they don't like what they've been seeing.
He did well a couple weeks, and I'm not going to lie, I said at the beginning of the year, I could see them being the first team to draft someone like Lawrence. There's a chance the Jets could win a game, and there's a chance that Jacksonville keeps losing games. Like, the Jets could win this weekend, and there's a chance, like, I wasn't nothing against him, but against Minshew, but he's not that good of a quarterback.
No, so technically, unless this kid that they're starting this weekend,
I don't think he's the answer either.
Lights fire. I mean, you got to draft a quarterback next year.
You do
this draft, and
there's a couple good.
There's a couple good ones.
There's 4 quarterbacks I think are worth drafting, and one, no offense to what's his name, the kid from Ohio State. I always forget his name. Fields. I don't trust Ohio State quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But again,
that's fair to say.
I like Trey Lance. I like Kyle Trask. That's one of our dudes in the group. I forget who's the Florida fan, but I think Nate is.
Nate and Danny.
And Danny are. And I like Kyle Trask. I like Lawrence, but Justin Fields to me looks like another Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell. It's just that play style, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. There's going to be a lot of quarterback teams that need a quarterback.
Yes.
But There's also going to be a lot of free agent quarterbacks. You could potentially have Bridgewater. You could have Jameis. You could have Dak.
The Jaguars are rebuilding, and they're not doing it right, in my opinion. Like, they haven't gotten enough draft picks for the players they've gotten rid of.
Yeah.
And they've gotten rid of some talent, and they did not get proper draft picks, where Miami got rid of less talented players and got number one draft picks. I mean, Miami has 3 first-round draft picks this year. 3. And, I mean, they're a bubble playoff team right now.
Are there 3? They have 3 this year, or were there 3 for last year?
No, 3 this year. Yep. And they had 2 this past year.
Oh, they had 2. That's right. Yep, because one was...
So, it's... but I got the Texans winning this game. I don't see how the Jaguars can compete. So
same thing. I'll make it quick. I got the Texans winning this game. We kind of discussed it. I got Texans.
All right. So now we got Raiders and Chargers. So here's my take on Herbert. He's a gunslinger. He's Brett Favre. He's Jeff George. Cannon arm. But I'll compare him more to Jeff George than I will Brett Favre. Brett Favre was a different type of gunslinger. He willed his team to victories. Where I think Jeff George just had a cannon and just could throw it harder and farther than anybody in the league. Herbert's got a great deep ball. I don't see it resulting in wins, though.
Not yet. That's the thing, too.
This team is the way this team is built, and they never did it, but the way it's built is they're a running team. They don't run the ball enough.
Yeah.
They don't. And you said it earlier when we talked about the Broncos coming back. You throw the ball, you throw the ball, you throw the ball. You go 3 and out. Like, run the ball.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I think the Chargers want to, but they don't have Eckler right now. And again, Eckler is a different running back than Justin Jackson. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I think they want to use Eckler, and I'd love to see a situation where they do the opposite of what most teams do. I'd like to see a deep pass, but focus around the run game. Run, and instead of a short play action, bomb it down the field.
Right.
Because he's got a cannon.
But teams are playing back now. Because what I've seen is he's not very good at the intermediate throws. His deep ball is pretty. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but his intermediate throws.
Play.
So cornerbacks are like, okay, I'm going to give the 10-yard cushion, and I'm not going to play bump and run because he's going to burn me.
But that's where I was saying earlier with my comparison between like Tom Brady and a healthy Drew Brees type thing is why, like, for me when I watch Burrow is he's had a couple deep balls. Again, he doesn't have a lot of time to get there, but his 20-yard and under intermediate range, his dump-offs, he has 50 pass attempts, but they're all for 5 yards. He's doing what it takes to win, whereas Herbert is launching it downfield like Aaron Rodgers would do, proving that, like, hey, I'm not afraid to take shots as a rookie,
right,
which is deadly, but again, it comes back to both Burrow and Herbert. Their defenses are letting them down. No offense to Herbert. I'm not trying to say that he didn't lose. They have 4 Atlanta Falcons type losses this year where they were leading and they lost.
Yep.
That is on the defense a little bit too.
Yes.
But overall, I want to say one thing real quick. These 2 quarterbacks impressed the hell out of me.
Oh yeah. I like this Raiders team.
Yeah.
They're mind-boggling though because I don't know which one is showing up.
That's the thing.
It was a very windy game. Cleveland, it was 50-mile-an-hour winds. You can't do much in that. They ran the ball like Jacobs finally shows up. He had a horrible game. Then he ran for over 130 yards. The Raiders know who they are.
Yeah.
The Raiders know who they are. They are going to just do what they do, and if they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. This isn't the year that the Raiders said we are going to contend. The Raiders are still in rebuild mode, and I think they're just finding out this year they're a lot closer than what they actually thought they were.
Yeah.
I got the Raiders winning this game. I just don't think the Chargers will do it. I just think the Chargers will make too many mistakes. I think the Raiders will just methodically just beat them.
Yeah. I think I want to agree with you. I have Vegas. They got to figure out their running game. They got to figure out why Josh Jacobs has the most carries in the league, and he's averaging 3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I think he has like 2 touchdowns all year. I appreciate that trade, by the way, because he hasn't done nothing for you.
I traded him.
Oh, you traded him?
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
So I had him for one game. I had him for the 5 yards that he ran for one game.
And then
I traded him, and he got 136 yards, and I was like...
I got Hopkins from you in that deal and traded him one game later.
Yeah, so...
well, I guess it didn't work out either way. I have Vegas winning this game. I trust them a little more. As most of the friend group says, I'm a Chargers lover. It's not that I'm a Chargers lover. It's that they're one of the teams I'm watching this year. I I like the fact that Herbert was considered a bust before he played. So they're a team I'm just keeping an eye on, and I want to root for them this year.
Yeah, I would like to say that there was 2 or 3 guys in our group chat that actually liked. They didn't root for, but they liked the Chargers, and now they hate the Chargers because of you. So I would just like to say, that just cracks me up. That it's you talk a lot about Herbert.
I do.
And you talk a lot.
Do you know why I talk a lot about Herbert? Because almost everybody in the group said Pac-12, he's a bust. Even on Hard Knocks, he was bad, but he's coming out and doing well.
Okay,
that's the difference.
But again, we're talking about a quarterback now. Again, Burrow's won 2 games, tied 1. Okay, can you really say they're doing well without winning? They're doing well fantasy-wise.
No, I also think doing well, they're both showing signs that they're starters in the league.
Yes.
That's what I mean by I like watching him mainly because I'm not even a Chargers fan. I just like the fact that everybody was so low on him and saying, Burrow's Tom Brady, Herbert's a nobody. Now, and I like the fact that they're both playing as QB1s in the league, and I think they're both going to finish out their rookie contracts with their team.
I want to ask you a question because you watch Herbert.
I've watched a lot of his games, yeah.
And I haven't watched a game, okay? I've seen highlights where I know his ball's pretty, okay? Does he see the field? Does he do progressions? Or does he just see one side? If it's not there, he hucks it.
So let me explain this to you. When we get done with the podcast today, I have a video on my phone from his NFL awarded Rookie of the Month video. And a lot of those videos are of the best plays he has. But on the really good plays, he's standing there. His pocket's doing what Burrow's doesn't, unfortunately. And he's standing there. He says, Mike Williams, this, boom. Then he throws it deep. He does look around. I wouldn't say he sees all 50 yards left to right. How far is a football field left to right? I don't know. But he doesn't see all of it. But he definitely looks for Mike Evans. And Mike Williams. Then he looks for Keenan Allen. Thank you. He's looking around and then he's like, nobody's open. Then he launches it hoping one of them goes up. It's like an Aaron Rodgers thing. I would say Burrow sees the field better. But I think if somebody's open, Herbert's going to get the ball to them better than Burrow will right now. I would say, and I talked to you about this, Burrow's ahead right now by far over the last weekend, but I would have to say from what I've seen, I think he sees probably 3/4 of the field. I think he sees more than most rookies do. Okay. And I think both of these rookies are by far 2 of the best rookies I've seen in a rookie class in probably a decade at the same time. They're both going to be well.
Okay.
They're both surprising me, honestly.
Next game, when the schedule came out, you probably looked at it and said, yeah, week 9, big smash mouth football and Steelers-Cowboys. And now you're looking at it and you're going, ugh. Who's going to start for the Cowboys?
I believe it's Cooper Rush as of right now.
Okay.
He's been on our practice squad for like 3 years.
Is that a rock band?
Stop it, Mark. That's not funny. That's funny, though. He has been Dak Prescott's backup for 3 years. And then when Garrett left, he got signed to the Giants. And now he's back with us again. I was like, if you want to think about it, he may have been a practice squad guy. He has the most experience with this offense. Kellen Moore, you know what? Send him in there. We're going to sit Gucci DiNucci down. I called him Gucci DiNucci. He ain't worth a damn.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you see any way? I mean, this is both our locks of the week, but
don't tell people I said.
Do you see any way the Cowboys win this game? Any way at all?
With who's on the field for them?
You have to line up with what you got. So
if Dak was in a wheelchair, we might have a chance. No, I see absolutely no chance Dallas wins this game. Unless somehow Pittsburgh's D-line doesn't show up and Zeke and Pollard, they just focus. We run it 50 times, pass it 10. That's the only way. If we do like a Vikings type thing, right. I could see it, but there's no way we're stopping that defense getting through the line.
Has Zeke fumbled in every game this season?
Did he fumble last week?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I haven't paid attention to Dallas since week 2.
I don't think he fumbled last week, but he only had like 40 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I see no chance Dallas wins this game. They're going to lose again. This is my lock of the week. Sorry, Dallas fans. Yep. This team's bad. I don't want to go into detail every week about it because there's nothing to say. You've seen it. I'm not going to be here like, with Dak, with this. We're the 49ers. We're the Eagles. We have so many injured players. You're not going to win with that many injured players. And even if they all were back, this is only a 7-win team with them healthy. Yeah. I really just... Pittsburgh's going to win this game. I actually didn't write it down. I have Pittsburgh winning by 28 points.
28 points?
I think it's a 4-score win. Write it down.
I am writing this down because I think even though the Cowboys are bad, I do not think the Steelers win by 28 points.
I think the final score of this game is 35. 28-7.
Wow. I don't know. I'm saying no. The Cowboys are bad, but they're not losing by 28 points.
You don't think they're going to lose as bad as the Jets did to the Chiefs?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay,
no,
okay. Do you
no.
think it'll be 21
If you were
points?
playing the Chiefs, I would see that, yes. But no, not the Steelers.
I mean, the Chiefs
aren't
have
that,
a loss. Pittsburgh doesn't.
But
Pittsburgh might be better.
They're not as explosive offensively as the Chiefs.
No, they're not.
So,
but we're not going to stop them. The Jets have a better defense than we do. That's the problem. The Jets have a top 15 defense in the league right now.
Yes.
We don't.
All right. I want you to look something up for me real quick.
Absolutely.
You have your phone. Did the Dolphins play Seattle yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the Dolphins are playing the Cardinals, and the Dolphins have played the Rams, the 49ers, and we're checking now to see if they've played Seattle yet.
They did. They played Seattle week 4.
Okay, they lost, but what was the score?
31-23.
31-23. Okay. And then they blew out the 49ers.
43-17.
A healthy 49ers team. And then they blew out the Rams.
Those are 3, they've had 2 good wins there.
Okay. And now they're playing the Cardinals. And I know both of us, I looked back, both of us in all 3 of those games picked the NFC West to beat the Dolphins.
Dude.
And both of us this week are picking the NFC West Cardinals to beat the Dolphins. I still don't. They did absolutely nothing offensively. And they scored. I think they scored like 2 defensive touchdowns.
They were crazy.
Like it was just crazy. And they had the ball, like they would intercept it. They're on the 10-yard line. The offense goes 10 yards and scores a touchdown. Like the Dolphins did absolutely nothing offensively. I don't even think Tua threw for 100 yards in that game.
So I was really close to picking the Dolphins in this game, but I want to do something for you real quick. Okay, I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull up my hands. You tell me what this is, right? So Miami has 4 wins right now. Okay, They're 4-3. I'm going to read off their schedule. Okay. That way you can get an idea of what they got coming up. Okay. They play the Cardinals. In your heart, they're 4-3. Do you think they win or lose?
Lose.
So they're 4-4. After that, they play the Chargers. Do they win or lose?
Win.
Okay, so they're 5-4. Then the Broncos.
Win.
So what is that? 6-4.
Yep.
The Jets.
Win.
Then the Bengals.
That'll be close.
That'll be close. Okay.
So I'm not gonna say they win that game, but let's just say for argument's sake they win.
They win.
So they're 8-4.
They're 8-4. Then they play the Chiefs.
Lose.
So 8-5. They play the Patriots.
Win.
Okay, so 9-5. They play the Raiders.
Lose.
So 9-6, and they play the Bills.
Lose.
So 9-7.
9-7.
That's a wild card team.
Right.
So they have 4 easy wins coming up against 4 bad teams.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say with the Dolphins is the games they needed to win, the Rams and 49ers, they did it. Right. Those are games they had to win.
And now they have to win the ugly games.
And now
they have to win those ugly games.
And the Bills aren't showing up. That's their benefit right now is that the Bills are
but my thing is this is still why you don't go to Tua. I'm sorry. Like you have, in my opinion, they win all those games with Fitzpatrick playing.
Oh, I agree.
Okay, I haven't seen anything out of Tua yet. Like I said, if you look back at his stats, I don't think he threw for over 100 yards. If he did, I don't think it was for very many. Their running back is hurt. They're going with Breida. They win games. Like you look at them and you don't think they're going you don't think they have a chance.
Yeah.
And then they come out, and this is why I think Flores is arguably coach of the year right now. Like this team is overperforming.
He's a hell of a team builder. Good Lord.
I mean, if you're the owner of the Dolphins or a fan of the Dolphins, you have to be excited with him.
I have a friend of mine who's a Dolphins fan. I don't know if he listens to the show. There's a radio show in Salisbury, Froggy 99.9, and he's a good friend of mine. He's one of the hosts. His name's Randy Scott. He's a big Dolphins fan, has been his whole life. I've watched him post for a decade now. Yep. So sad all the time. He is the most excited I've ever seen, even if they lose. He just feels it's like you are with the Bengals right now. He's like, there's a different fire in the belly of these teams, of the Dolphins. He's like, I'm happy for the first time since when?
Well, I'm going to throw it out there. If he wants to come on and talk Dolphins, I'll talk Dolphins with
That's
him.
a really good idea. We should get him up here. Okay, I'll talk to him.
All right.
I talk to him all the time. We'll get him on the show.
I love the team. I just don't think they're going to beat the Cardinals.
No, maybe we'll get him to shout the show out.
Yeah, I also didn't think the Rams were going to win.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to beat the Rams, and I didn't think they were going to beat the 49ers. So I could see the Cardinals getting their asses beat this week.
Yeah.
But I think the Cardinals are going to take another step in their this is our year where people have to start recognizing us type thing.
Yeah, this is.
So I do have the Cardinals winning this week.
I have the Cardinals winning this week too, but I think Miami's going to keep it close. Miami's a good team. I think overall they're a good team. They're coached well. Arizona just has the weapons. I trust them more. But don't get me wrong, Miami's allowing like the 5th least amount of points to wide receivers right now. There's a chance Hopkins gets shut down, but again, the run game, Edmonds, you have Kyler Murray. It's going to be...
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Because Byron Jones was the huge offseason signing by Flores and these Dolphins. And do you miss him? Would you have paid? I know you said when he left, I don't think he's worth the money. But
I didn't think he was worth the money because he's not a lockdown corner. He is has one of the most he was leading the league in deflections, but he usually gets burnt by a few yards, and he was literally last in interceptions. So he's always there, but man-to-man, he's terrible. He's great in zone, but even when he's in zone, it just seems like he wants to punch the ball away and not get interceptions, and I didn't want to pay him. What did he get paid?
He got paid.
He was the highest cornerback. He got like $15 million.
Before everybody else started signing, he was the highest paid corner.
If we signed him, Dallas, for this year... I think we could have been maybe 25th or 6th in total defense. He would have helped, but as bad as this is, I'm glad he's one of the few Dallas players I still follow when they leave the team. I'm happy he's in Miami. He's doing great things.
Yeah.
He's definitely their best corner on their defense right now. I mean, they have Xavier Howard still too, right?
Yes.
So they're great, man.
The Bills were anointed the NFC
AFC
East champion for the next few years. Because the Patriots were rebuilding, the Dolphins were rebuilding. Have the Dolphins made themselves relevant in saying, hold up, I think there's a 2-team race now in the next few years?
I think it's a conversation. The Bills have the edge right now.
Because they have a quarterback.
I'd say if you think about it like a race, the Bills have a couple second lead right now, couple laps to go. Dolphins are coming up. Okay. I think the Bills will probably win the division. I think there's a chance they win it next year. But I think the Dolphins have a longer winning period than the Bills were. I think the Bills are going to be a quick 2 or 3 year team. I think the Dolphins could sustain this for years as long as their coach reminds me a lot of a young Belichick.
Yeah.
He really does.
He's good.
Yeah, he's building well. I think he definitely took a lot of pages from Belichick's book.
Yep.
We got a great game.
Is this the game of the week?
No.
No? What's the game of the week?
To me, well, let me think about it.
I'm saying this is the game of the week.
I don't know. Baltimore, Indianapolis looks like a good game, but not. I'm going to agree with you. I wanted to say Baltimore and Indianapolis because it's my upset. This is probably the game of the week, yeah.
Saints, Bucks.
If Bucks find a way to win this game, the division's probably theirs.
Yeah. This is a rematch of week 1.
And Tampa Bay did lose, right?
Yes. Brady played okay.
That was
week
1.
He threw a lot of interceptions. He threw 2 or 3 interceptions.
Week
I think
1,
2.
No preseason.
Right.
No OTA.
The Bucks are beat up offensively, but they have a 2-headed running back, which aggravates the hell out of me because neither one of them are fantasy relevant. So I have Ronald Jones, and when Fournette was out, Ronald Jones was a beast. Okay, and then Fournette comes back, and they split carries, and neither one of them goes over 100 yards, but they get like 50, 60 yards each. Yeah, but they're not.
Arians came out the other day and said, "You guys can chill out with all the tweets. I don't care about your fantasy teams."
But the Bucks are playing to win football games. I think the game against the Giants was a lot closer because I think they are actually looking ahead to this game. I think it was the Giants were like that trap game, and I think they were like, oh crap, we gotta like do something to win.
Yeah.
I think the Saints, Michael Thomas is coming back. Saints offensively haven't been bad without him though.
No.
So he might be back, which is a big help. But the Bucks defensively have figured it out, and they're better this week than they were week 1. Excuse me. And I see the Bucks winning this game. I think it's going to be a shootout though. I think it's going to be not a shootout like 40s. I think it's going to be a shootout where the last, like Brady and or Breeze does a last-minute drive. I got the Bucks winning this game, though.
I'm looking it up right now. I can't think of who it is. I can't think of it right now. Jamal Dean, is that his name? Jamil Dean. I think he's from the Buccaneers.
Okay.
So I looked this up, and I was listening to one of my favorite fantasy shows today. In the time that Buccaneers have had this corner, I think it's like 3 or 4 years, they've had like 10 matchups. Other way around. Saints cornerback. Can't think of what his name is.
Yeah.
Always on Mike Evans.
Yep.
Always. Mike Evans, every time he plays him, I think total in like 8 games has 100 yards, no touchdowns. He literally embarrasses him, but they don't have Godwin. So this is an opportunity.
Godwin's 50-50.
50-50, I know that. But even if he's 50-50, he still has a cast on as of today. So he's going to have...
Keep going.
But not,
I have something.
I know. But not having a cast on, a full arm cast, and playing in 3 days is going to be tough, especially when you need to catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
This is my next question. I won't say who I think is going to win yet. Is there a chance that you think Antonio Brown goes 7 for 100, 7 for 80, and a touchdown?
Yeah.
You think there's a chance? And I do too. I really do.
He plays maybe 30 snaps.
That's what I'm thinking. I think he plays a third of the snaps.
And
of
Brady
fourth.
trusts him.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, like you said, Mike Evans is going to be covered by Lattimore.
Yep, that's who it is. Lattimore. Thank you.
Yeah, Lattimore is going to cover him.
Yep.
And to me, that's irrelevant for this season because Evans isn't Evans.
No.
And Evans doesn't care that he's not Evans, which is a very different wide receiver. Like, anytime, like even Julio Jones did it. Like, he's playing like he's Larry Fitzgerald. Okay, Larry Fitzgerald never cared, never made noise if he didn't
just wanted
catch
to do
the
what
ball.
it took to win the game.
Exactly, and Mike Evans is playing that way, and Mike Evans knows. Mike Evans said it in post-game conference, news conference the other day. He said, Brady trusts me in the red zone. That's all I care about. I don't care if I have 100 yards. I care if he trusts me in the red zone. I'll catch it.
Yeah, he's going to...
And that's the thing. If Godwin plays, he plays. They prove they can do it without him.
I have Mike Evans. So I'm kind of hoping Godwin doesn't.
You know, but I got the Bucs winning this game.
I do too.
Just because I think the Bucs defensively are better than what they were week 1, and they still almost won week 1 with all those offensive turnovers.
I think defensively week 1 they were good. Offensively week 1 they didn't know who they were.
Yes.
And I think the Buccaneers know exactly who they are right now. And they're hot. They're playing red hot. They're probably... Pittsburgh's playing really good too. But if I had to say, Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh are the 2 hottest teams in the league right now. No offense to the Chiefs. Chiefs are great, but you expected this.
Yes.
These 2 teams are just mind-boggling right now. I have Tampa Bay winning this game too. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I think it could come down to...
Much better Sunday night game this week than last week.
Oh my gosh, I don't even talk about it. I cried even while Dallas was up. Wait, we were never up in that game. What do we got next? We got a few minutes here. Let's get this one done.
Pats Jets.
Okay.
I said to you before we started the show, I came so close to picking the Jets to win this game. I really did. I came so close, but the Patriots win this game. The Jets do not have anything, and the Patriots have, and the Patriots just have a little bit.
Yeah.
So it is the Patriots this week. Patriots win this game. This could be the last game the Patriots win this season. Unless they play the Jets again. So no, the Patriots will win 2 more games this season because they'll beat the Jets twice. But I got the Patriots winning this game.
I have the Patriots winning this game as well. We both talked about it, and I think I might have said it before you that I wasn't going to pick the Jets, but I said the Jets could find a way. I'm not saying they're going to win, but like for some reason, I feel like New England could be 0-7 right now. I really do. They're not a very good team. Cam Newton's not a very good quarterback. Nope. Even Belichick came out and said, yeah, it might have been a mistake to sign him. And I was like, oh, that's why they paid him so little. The Jets don't have anything. They have literally nothing. New England to me has literally nothing. I got New England winning this game. How do you
feel as ESPN right now?
How do I feel as what?
ESPN putting this on. This is a worse game than the Cowboys versus Washington last Sunday, or Washington versus the Eagles.
The only reason
week.
that stayed on Sunday Night Football is because it still brought in more viewers than the Pittsburgh Ravens game.
Right, but this game is on Monday Night Football, and there is nothing to talk about. Like, there is nothing. Monday Night Football, you're going, who do we even interview? Like, this is awful.
Is this a game you might not watch?
Oh, I don't watch any Monday Night Football game. They're on too late.
You're old. Forgot about that. You got to get to bed and get the coffee started. I just want to say this real fast before we get done here. It's like, so you've been around for some pretty bad New England losses in the Super Bowl, right? And you've had other Super Bowl losses and other regular season losses.
You got to remember, I lived in New England.
You know.
I remember when the Patriots weren't good at all.
So you know New England's bad right now.
Yep.
Was it Harrison, that crazy catch New England had?
Yeah, well, he was guarding
Giants.
it. It was David Tyree.
That's it, Tyree.
Harrison was guarding him.
That was a heartbreaking moment, I'm sure.
Yes.
If the Jets win, how do you think New England fans are going to feel?
You know what? This is what New England fans are going to say.
Do you think they kind of expect that there's a chance?
Well, no. This is what New England fans are going to say, okay? Well, yeah, of course we lost. We're tanking. We're going to get the quarterback this year, and we're going to be, Super Bowl champions again in a couple years. Belichick knows what he's doing. We don't care about this year. And New England people, we call ourselves massholes for a reason, okay? Like, I'm from Massachusetts. We're massholes, okay? Foxborough and New England Patriot fans, Boston Red Sox fans, like Boston Celtic fans, it doesn't matter how bad we are. The Red Sox were so bad this year. Well, COVID happened. Sale didn't pitch. We'll be back. We got enough money. We'll be back. We knew we weren't going to win this year. We're rebuilding for next year. We want to play 162, not 60. Like they're arrogant a-holes.
Yeah,
but they're proud of it.
But they're so prideful of their team. I've never met somebody so proud of their team as New England fans. They really are.
But that's what the narrative will be.
Yeah.
Radio stations will be like, this is awful. I don't know what we're doing. Like, can we even trust in Belichick anymore? Fans will be like, listen, we don't have our quarterback. This is a rebuild. We are going. We sold. They believe what Belichick said. We sold out for 5 years. We sold our soul for 5 years, and we won 3 championships and went to a 4th. You know what? As a fan of the team, if I was a fan of the team, I'd be like, okay. Yeah. I'll sit through a rebuild because I trust you, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
And you can just lay back and just be like, we got 6.
Yeah, they're incredible success. Like I said, I could even see the Jets on purpose losing this game because
that's what I'm feeling.
Even
like
if
you
New
don't
England
want to win because you want that number 1 pick.
And that's the thing with the Jets is I don't care what anybody says. Our friend group was like, tank for Trevor. There's a chance New England. There is absolutely no chance if the Jets are 0-16. There's no chance they trade that number 1 pick to New England, no matter what they offer.
But to piggyback on what you said, do they try to lose this game? You have the Jaguars at 1 win. You have the Texans at 1 win. You have
Dallas at 2.
Dallas at 2. You can't win if you're the Jets. You can't.
No, you can't win this game.
The bottom of the league is so bad because there's so many teams with 1, 2, 3 wins that you're like, I can't lose a game because I can't take the chance that I'm going to lose.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to take the Bengals out of it, and I'm going to take the Eagles out of it. They're 2 bad teams with bad losses, right? But they have their quarterbacks in a way, okay? I'm going to go through the teams right here that all have a chance for number 1, and you tell me if they draft Trevor Lawrence. Not if they draft Trevor Lawrence. We're going to assume they do, okay? And you tell me how many wins you think they have next year. Okay? So I'm going to start off with, let's say Denver. Let's say Denver somehow got number 1. How many wins do they get with a team they have adding Trevor Lawrence?
8, 9. 8 or 9.
Okay. What about Carolina?
9 or 10.
9 or 10, okay. What about the Giants?
5.
5, okay. What would be the next good team? Let's say Houston's not going to do it. Jacksonville. With the team they have.
3 or 4.
Dallas?
Dallas is I would probably say Dallas is a Super Bowl contender, 10 wins.
Absolutely, I agree with that too. Okay, so here's my last question. New England.
New England would be back in the playoffs.
The Jets.
2, 3 wins.
So my point is that simple. The Jets know they have to get him because even if you're Trevor Lawrence, staying in college doesn't matter. You want to make sure you don't go to the Jets because every other team you just named with you actually has talent around you.
Right.
There's so many good, bad teams. There's only 1 Jets. Every other team with 2 losses, no offense to the Cowboys and all. These teams are still really good. I'm sorry, I forgot to say the Washington football team too.
Washington football team would be in the playoffs too.
That's what I'm saying. So the Jets, they have to get him because if not, Dallas could find a way to get him, and they're a Super Bowl contending team with him because of everybody around him.
Okay, so this is my point, and I brought this up in the group chat. I don't know where we are on time. I'm honestly
not worried about
don't care.
I don't care either.
So
Keep going.
I brought this up, and I really am serious about this. Okay, so how many teams picked a quarterback in the top 5, and then 2 or 3 years later picked a quarterback number 1? How many teams in the league, in the history of the league? I can only think of 1. Okay, and this was just recent.
Cardinals, right?
Yes. Okay, but they didn't even pick. I can't even think of the kid's name now. Rosen. They didn't even pick him in the top 5.
He's like 14th or something like that.
Yeah, but they pick. They high first round pick on their quarterback, on their future quarterback, and then they sucked and they got rid of him and they drafted Kyler Murray. Why? If you are the Jets, do you waste your number 1 pick on a player that's only going to make you 2 or 3 games better. You need so much where, say, Tua's not the real deal, okay? And I'm not saying he is or he isn't. And the Dolphins say, hey, we're a quarterback away. We'll give you all 3 number 1 picks for your number 1 pick.
I would take it.
Okay? And they take Lawrence, and then you rebuild, knowing you're still not going to win.
I still think Darnold's an above-average quarterback. I think he could win.
But you set yourself, like the Giants are going to set themselves so far back because they missed on the quarterback. And now you have to draft a quarterback high again instead of a high lineman.
Yeah.
Instead of this, where like the Bengals, and I'll use the Bengals as an example because this past week, the Bengals didn't allow a sack or a QB knockdown.
You've been building your line for 3 years.
Right. But you drafted the future left tackle in Anderson.
Williams. Jonah Williams.
Okay. And then you pieced it together for a few weeks, and then you picked up a few scrap heaps, and you finally found a line that could actually do something, and you proved you could beat a good team with a good line.
Yeah.
Now, the Bengals went inside out. Okay?
Yeah.
And, with Dalton for so many years, you knew you weren't winning technically. Like, you were still getting top 15 picks here and there. And then all of a sudden you were losing. You still had Dalton signed. You didn't rush into that quarterback. You didn't. And then
when the time was right,
you picked the quarterback. And because they had pieces in place to make it so it's successful. And if I'm the Jets, I stick with Darnold.
Yeah. And that's why I just did that analysis with you. I went through all the teams. If you put Trevor Lawrence, we're going to suppose he's number 1 on all those teams. Almost every single one of them teams have 5+ or they're playoff teams. But the Jets.
Okay, so my question to you is what I just said is if you're the Jets GM, do you do that or do you take Trevor Lawrence?
For me, if I had the opportunity, and this isn't barring off of what Trevor Lawrence has said, maybe debating, I might stay my senior year. I don't know. If I'm the Jets, I personally would rather trade for a king's ransom. I think Darnold is decent. I think he could be like a Derek Carr level player in a couple of years, like in a top 15 quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league, but if you can draft a lineman with one of the first round picks, you can get a good safety with one of the picks, and maybe Jamar Chase from LSU, that wide receiver, that team could honestly have 3 or 4 wins in a few years. Like,
now here's the thing. One of the Dolphins picks is the Texans.
I know.
That's a top 5 pick.
So there's your lineman.
So that's what I'm saying. Or if you wanted, it's a little bit lower. You still don't take a quarterback. Like, no, I don't. No. Everybody says there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this draft.
I think there's 3.
I think there's 1, and everybody else you're settling, and that's my thing. Like, Trask isn't a first round pick. I don't care.
No, not yet. I don't. Not yet. He's close.
He might jump into the first round because teams may be desperate, or he goes on a run. But he's not a first round talent.
See, to me, I think Lawrence is above and beyond the number 1 pick. He's a Burrow type quarterback. But I think there's a chance that Trask could be the Herbert type quarterback, and there's a chance that kid from North Dakota could be like a Tua. Does that make sense? Not play style, or they're not going to probably be day 1 like Burrow.
You're putting Tua up there already, and he hasn't even thrown for 200 yards in the NFL yet.
But simply what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't foresee. I see Lawrence coming in day 1 like Burrow. Boom, it's your job. Best of luck.
Yep.
Anybody else like Kyle Trask, I don't see him starting day 1. I think, let's say Dallas somehow got him and they said, Dak, go do you. I could literally see Andy Dalton. He has a contract for next year, playing 6 or 7 games and starting him. Like Herbert. The only reason Herbert got the nod was because Tyrod Taylor had his lung punctured by the doctor, who's on Herbert's payroll.
Best money Herbert spent.
So my guess was, when I was reading it, is this is about the time Herbert was going to come in. I know the Chargers are glad he came in 6 weeks ago. They're like, wow, this was a great idea. So that's the way I look at it. You only really have 1 quarterback, and he's not going to the Jets, because if I'm the Jets, I'm looking around going, I kind of like my quarterback. Just why don't we just see if we can't get all the Dolphins' first picks? Let's try to get a couple others, and let's rebuild. You don't have to rebuild with a number 1 quarterback.
No, but if you're the Dolphins, and you could get the number 1 pick because Tua isn't the answer, I see them, because their team is that good, and they still have players sitting out because of COVID.
Yeah. So you trade your first 3 rounders to get Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
What do you do with Tua? Keep him on the bench, or you try to trade him for another first round pick?
See ya. Have a good day, Josh Rosen.
And then you have your backup to him being Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Teaching, man, dude, what a flex. If they have Fitzpatrick on the bench helping Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence goes, "It's okay, Dad, sit down, Fitzpatrick, because I'm still better than you."
But it's, I just don't, they have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
The Jets need so much more.
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence could pull an Eli Manning and
There's
say,
a chance.
"Go ahead, draft me. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I'll sit out. I'll go play in the XFL. I'll go play in the Canadian Football League. Like, I am not playing for you no matter what you do." And then the team that picks Fields, all of a sudden you swap them. And it's like, okay, so then it's,
If you're the Jets and you have the number 1 pick and you want a quarterback, you might as well just shoot the gun on Fields and just not even take Lawrence. Let Lawrence go 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You know that he's not going to want to play for you.
Right.
So that's sometimes the worst time with being the worst team in the league. People don't want to play for you. No offense, Eli Manning, little bitchy boy.
They were saying that about Burrow.
Yeah.
But Burrow's an Ohio kid.
I had
Burrow,
no doubt he was going to go to the Bengals and play.
And everything. And I do want to say, in your off time, I know it's their bye week, so I didn't want to talk about the Bengals. Look at the second half of their schedule. I'm almost guaranteeing that they are going to have 6 wins, 7 wins before the end of the season. Look at the end of their schedule. It is easy.
We got to play the NFC East.
Yes, we play 3 NFC East teams. We play the Giants, the Washington, and we play the Cowboys, and we play the Texans. And then then it's twice against Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Those 3 are probably going to be losses.
But you're 4-3.
You think you beat the Texans?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
You think Deshaun Watson doesn't eat your defense alive?
No.
No?
No.
Still not a playoff team, but that could happen.
You're still
That's
not a
what I'm
playoff team. But what I'm saying is you're saying 6.
Yeah.
So you're saying 6-9-1 in Burrow's first year when they won 1 game last year.
Yeah.
So
it could happen, man. It could happen.
And the NFC East is that bad.
No, it is that bad.
So
and you know what the worst part is? 2 of the teams are bad because they're bad. 2 of the teams are bad because everyone's hurt. So it's not like, no offense, it's not like the whole NFC East is bad, but Dak's perfectly healthy, Zeke's good. It's not like Carson Wentz is great. They got Aguilar and all their people. They got all their talent. They got all the running back. No, Eagles and Cowboys are literally decimated on IR. They're the 49ers of the East.
Yep.
And then you have the Washington football team who's winning because the other 2 teams that are supposed to be winning are not. And then you have the Giants who lost a running back and they can't win.
They couldn't win with the running
That's
back.
the problem. So they're just bad. The whole NFC East is bad. Take them off the map. So with that being said, any last words?
No, I'm good. I'm good. You guys just have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, everybody. Have a great night.